Hi, this is Michael Halper with Sales Scripter, and today I want to share with you an analogy that if you agree with it, it's something you can keep in mind and use as a guide or a tool to help you to figure out what to say, what not to say, and how best to communicate with target prospects. And so this analogy is that I believe high value target prospects, such as decision makers, are similar to a pretty girl that's sitting in a bar or at a bar, and there's a lot of single men at the bar. And what usually happens is that these men, a lot of them will try to talk to the pretty girl and hit on her and try to pick her up. And so I want to kind of go through what that scenario is like, and if you agree with that and can see the problems with that, with what those men are doing, that can help give you clarity for being a better salesperson. So I'll dive into what it's like in the analogy, and then you can keep that in mind again if you agree with it. Now, before I go on, I do want to point out that it could be easy for someone to think that this is a sexist analogy because it's a pretty girl at a bar and the guys are hitting on her. I do know that we live in a world now where women talk to men, women approach men, women can pick up men. So I don't think that it's only men pick up women. Also, in this analogy, I mentioned that the woman is a pretty woman. I know that men definitely pick up women that they don't have to be pretty. There's all different types of people in the world. But I do make this analogy about a woman and men picking them up because men are more aggressive than women. And so in this scenario, you have a lot of men, a high volume of men trying to talk to the woman, and that's important because in the sales world, when you have decision makers and executives, there's a high volume of salespeople trying to reach them. So it is more appropriate for this example to be a woman and also for her to be pretty because she's going to get a lot of attention in a bar type setting. That's just the world we live in. So I just want to put that out there as a disclaimer. Now let's talk a little bit about this woman at the bar. Some women go out to meet a guy just like men go out to meet a girl. This woman in this analogy, she's out and her interests are not to meet a guy, although she is single and she might be open to meeting someone, but that's not what she's out for. That's not at the front of her mind. Her interests are she's there with a girlfriend and she wants to visit with her friend, and her other interest is to have fun. The reason why I point that out is because that's similar to the target prospect. They're likely not in buying mode for your product. They may need it, they may not know that they need it, or they may need it, but they might not be thinking about it when you reach out to them. They have different interests. Just like the girl has an interest in having fun and visiting with her friend, your target prospect, let's say it's B2B environment, your target prospect version of having fun is to make more money for the company, for themselves, to decrease costs. To have fun would be not having to work as hard as they have to, or getting promoted or getting recognition. So these are the things that are equivalent to the girl having fun. And visiting with her friend is similar to them getting work done. So now what happens at the bar is that these guys will start to come up and try to interrupt the girl talking to her friend, and they're going to try to hit on her. This is the equivalent of a salesperson cold calling, cold emailing, interrupting a business person's day. When the first person walks up to the woman may not know what is going on. She may not know that the guy is trying to pick her up. And she may start to talk to him. But then when she realizes that he's there to try to pick her up, and that doesn't match up with her interests of having fun and visiting with her friend, she then finds a way to make the person go away. Now, what happens is that she probably played along with that a little longer than she would have liked, and she probably wasn't very rude. But what happens is that another person comes up, and another man comes up, and another man comes up. Now, at this point, she realizes that she can't be nice and spend all this time with these people, so maybe she has to identify if the people coming up are just trying to hit on her and pick her up, and that's what she's not really interested in at that particular time. And she starts to figure this out quicker, and she might have to start being a little rude. Otherwise, she's going to spend all day dealing with these people, and she's going to be never get to accomplish what she needs to do, which is visit with her friend and have fun. The important thing of this analogy is I want you to picture this going on, and you're the guy that wants to talk to this girl, and you're the 10th person. This analogy, I want it to center around the 10th person that goes and talks to this girl, because that's what I want you to view you as when you're the salesperson interacting with the target prospect. Actually, you're way beyond that, right? You might be the 10th person that day, and every day there's this noise of salespeople trying to reach the prospect. And it's this noise that makes this analogy really helpful or important. The noise I'm referring to is that those men that are going up and all throughout the night talking to the woman, that's the equivalent of, for your target prospect, every day there are these calls coming in, there's emails coming in, voicemails being left. And when you do cold prospecting, your messages are part of this noise. When they answer your call, you're just the next guy, or next salesperson, should I say. When they read your email, and when I say the next, I want you to think of it as though you're equal to the 10th guy at the bar. And so if you agree with this analogy so far, when the prospect answers your call or looks at your email, if you're the equivalent of the 10th guy at the bar hitting on the girl, what that means is that the prospect will begin to try to see, okay, are you just like all the other salespeople that have been calling me today? They're going to maybe ask you questions. This is why they ask questions like, what's this in regards to? Is this a sales call? Because they want you to identify yourself as the guy hitting on the girl at the bar, or the salesperson trying to sell something. So even if they don't ask you those questions, they're going to be trying to figure that out. As soon as they see that you are, their guard is going to go up, and they're going to try to get rid of you with objections as quickly as possible. And this is the equivalent of the girl at the bar trying to get rid of the next guy, so that she can get back to having fun and visiting with her friend. And the target prospect, this is them getting back to work and focusing on their interests, such as making more money, decreasing costs, and whatnot. So that is the analogy. Now, let's just stay with the bar analogy just a little bit more, and then that will help us to figure out, well, what do we do? Okay, so let's go back to the bar, which is, you are indeed the guy, and you want to talk to this girl, and let's say that you have become aware that all the other guys are annoying her, right? And you have a choice. You could either say, I'm not going to go talk to her because I don't want to annoy her, or how can I alter my approach so that I can get in? And certainly you could not talk to her. In the sales world, that would be the equivalent of saying, I don't want to call a target prospect because I don't want to annoy them. And you know, in sales, if you have that, if that's your strategy, you're going to not be successful because you're more worried about annoying people. So in order to make you a successful salesperson, we need to optimize your approach, modify your approach so that you are able to continue to pursue the target prospect, but you minimize the odds of annoying them or getting sent away immediately, right? So in the bar example, this would be, okay, not talking to the girl is not an option. We have to talk to her. So we know that the other guys are annoying her. She's getting annoyed by guys coming up and trying to pick her up, and that doesn't align with her interests. So let's modify our approach at the bar. Well, her goal is to have fun. So the first thing we want to do is we don't want to trigger her guardedness. So we don't want to appear as, I'm the next guy trying to pick you up. We can avoid saying things that make us look like a cheesy guy trying to flirt with her, hit on her, and look like all the others. We can also try to communicate in a way where we're more focused on having fun. So if we could engage with this girl and add to her fun and avoid looking like we're trying to hit on her, she still may know that he's a guy, I'm a girl, he's single, most likely, I'm single. Maybe at some point he may try to sell me something, which would be himself, and maybe at some point I may be buying. But all I know is right now he's not taking away from my fun and he's adding to my fun, and so the conversation starts. So what we're doing there is we're avoiding looking like we're hitting on her. we're adding to her fun, and our goal is really not necessarily to start a relationship with her, to get her number, to get a date. It's more so to start the conversation. Converting that to selling, when you are reaching out to prospects, your goal should not be to sell the product, it should be to start the conversation. If we're able to get in and start a conversation, have fun, and get to know the person, and then we could start to hit on her later once we've started the conversation. All right, so now let's talk about selling, right? So if we're the 10th person reaching out to that prospect, let's do what we can to not sound like a salesperson. So a salesperson they'll flat out be maybe direct on, hey, I want to see if you guys need what I sell. I want to schedule a meeting with you. So we want to avoid all the typical language around selling, meetings, scheduling meetings, talking about their needs, seeing if they need something, and talking a lot about the company and the product. It really triggers flags that, hey, I'm a salesperson trying to sell something. By the way, all of our training modules on how to build your sales message, sales pitch, sales script, all centers around not sounding like a salesperson. So this video and podcast, I really just want to focus on the analogy, and then you can go and search out other training modules to figure out how to create a message that doesn't sound like a salesperson. But the key thing here is that if you were the guy at the bar, you would want to not look like you're trying to pick her up. And that allows you to not get blown out of the water right away, and maybe you can start a conversation. That's the equivalent of, in the sales world, you want to avoid looking like a salesperson trying to sell something, because that's going to get you blown out of the water and pushed away really quickly. And you might stay alive a little bit longer if you can do that. And so present yourself as more of a consultant, more as an advisor, and start conversations. We also want to focus more on the prospect's interests and less on yours. In the analogy, that would be focusing on her having fun and adding to her fun. In the sales world, that would be focusing more on their interest of making money, decreasing costs, and maybe communicating how you can help with that or demonstrating how you can help with that instead of selling your product. And so that's really the goal of this analogy, right? To get you to see that how you position yourself and how you communicate can either get you shot out of the water or help you to establish conversations. If you like that analogy and you think, oh, well, that's something maybe I'll keep in mind, here's how you can use it moving forward, okay? Is that as a salesperson, you need to communicate. Whether that's making phone calls, sending emails, leaving voicemails, talking to people at events, meeting people on the street, cold walking, whatever, you're communicating. So what I would want you to do is, instead of just going with your instincts and saying the first thing that comes out of your mind, which our instincts are we're a salesperson, we need to sell something. Our first instincts are to try to talk about our company, talk about our product. When you do that, you look like the 10th guy trying to hit on the girl, is really the key thing that I'm trying to communicate here. So if you keep that in mind and think to yourself, I don't want to seem like a guy trying to pick up a girl at a bar who's been hit on a lot, then what you can do is think about that when you're typing your cold email. Does your email look like you're trying to pick up the prospect and hit on the prospect? When you make a call, with what you say, whether you're using a script or not a script, is try to communicate in a way where you don't look like that 10th guy. So, like I said, all of our training modules will help you with that. The goal here is to maybe see what you're trying to do from another angle by using the analogy, and then identifying, maybe there's things that I should do or things I should not do. And then the analogy should help you to see that. And if it helps you, then maybe you can keep that analogy in mind. Now, if you want more clarity on what to do and what to change and how to change, look out some of our other training modules, and they all help you with that. So anyways, hope that gives you some good ideas or some clarity on how to be a better salesperson, and look for other podcasts and training modules to help you in more and other ways. Thanks. Have a great day.